Child, Youth and Family has been forced to apologise to a Nelson landlord after it ignored her concerns for the welfare of 2 children living in her rental property. Sinead Ogilvie went to CYFS with concerns about the 2 children, aged 6 and 9, after visiting the property and seeing the conditions they were living in, but she was told they wouldn't intervene because the children's condition wasn't life-threatening. The tenants left recently owing 10 weeks in rent and with more than $25,000 worth of damage to the property. Ms Ogilvie has since written an open letter to CYFS about the state of the property, outlining her extreme concerns for the welfare and health and safety of the 2 children. This afternoon she described the conditions the children were living in.
Every room had dog feces in it. There were cigarette butts in every room. The kitchen was an absolute nightmare. There was rotten food, mouse droppings on the bench, urine stained and covered sheets and clothing just dumped next to the washing machine that stunk. It was just a real mess. But then there was little signs of a child's life in the home, and that was what was really gutting. You know, walking past a pair of mouldy pyjamas in the hallway that had, you know, obviously child's poo in them. And then right next to that, you know, there'd be a tiny little jandal or a Barbie doll. It was then that I thought, nah, I'm not going to be another, you know, one of those. But they've moved out of homes like this before, right? And people simply cut their losses, fix it up and rent it out again. And I feel like there's no follow-up with the family. You know, they're obviously going to live like this with their kids at another home. And I thought, I don't want to be that person. I want to make sure that I make a difference in some way. Sorry, it's upsetting. So, yeah.
You right?
Yeah, sorry. It's just really awful to think that 2 young kids had to call that home.
It was that awful what you saw, that even to describe it to me now is that upsetting.
Yeah, like, I just can't comprehend, you know, two little kids coming home from school and that's their reality. Like, it's unbelievable. The damage to the property in terms of both garage doors had been driven through by the mum's partner. There were holes punched in the walls. There were doors off their hinges. And I thought, when did these violent outbursts happen? You know, were the kids there? Were they scared? Were they, you know, were they worried? How were those kids feeling when this sort of stuff happened, and how often did it happen? And like I said, I just couldn't forgive myself if we just simply, you know, soldiered on, got it ready, rented it out again, and forgot about those kids and their life in there.
Sinead, you've obviously witnessed this, and you've approached CYFS both privately and publicly. And what you're also saying is that you're not alone in having approached CYFS. Is that right? You met a woman who was the grandmother of one of the children or children in the house, and she'd approached CYFS too?
So on the Wednesday last week, I arrived at the house. I had to take, obviously, a bit of time off work to get things sorted. And this woman was standing on the footpath, and she was really angry. And she said, is this you guys? Are you looking after this? And I said, yes, unfortunately. Who are you? And she said, look, my grandson lived in that house with this woman. And she said she's complained to CYFS numerous times over the last 2 years about the state of the homes that she lives in, this woman. Apparently she has actually done more than a few dump runs with all of this trash and everything from this woman's house. Each time she moves, the neglect follows her. And she said she's been simply fobbed off by CYFS or told, oh, there'll be family strengthening meetings and, you know, all of this stuff. But really that just highlights, are we so afraid, or are we so PC now that we think that the best thing we can do for these kids is having a family strengthening meeting? I mean, what is that? Surely the kids' well-being is more of a priority than helping this woman sort through whatever major issues she's obviously got.
So, Sinead, in good faith, you believe the grandmother has contacted CYFs on a number of occasions plural, and that nothing has been done. And so she has alerted CYFs to the conditions the children have been living in, and nothing has been done to remedy that.
I truly believe that, because I feel even if they had put a sort of program in place or anything like that, why would they still be living in those conditions? And she has verbatim told me, yes, she's definitely called them numerous times, and she feels fobbed off.
Sinead Ogilvie, who went to CYFs herself about this, we asked the Ministry of Social Development, which oversees CYFs, of course, for an interview. It declined, but the operations manager for Upper South, Helen Aiken, sent us a statement apologising. She says Sinead's photos prove it did not adequately assess the family situation. Ms Aiken says CYFs have been to visit the children in their new house and will be monitoring them closely to ensure their safety and well-being. That statement from the operations manager for Upper South, Helen Aiken.